Cool. Right, David, lovely to meet you. So, my name's Brett. I work with LinkedIn primarily as my channel of marketing expertise. I wanted to sit down and talk to you today. Basically, I found all your content. I actually found you through TikTok, of all things. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine to sit there scrolling of an evening when maybe I should be concentrating on work, and you just happened to pop in my feed one day. I've got some years cold calling experience, so your content really resonated with me, and it just sort of it threw me back. And something as a marketer that I don't do anymore is cold calling. So I was like, do you know what? I actually want to talk to this guy, find out what he does, and things like that. So, yeah, just from your point of view, and sort of what you guys do, I'd just love to hear a little bit more about you and just learn, basically. So,
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for having me on, Brett. It's good to be here. So, yeah, my name's David. My brand's for Sales Angel. Um, I'm someone who fell into sales by mistake. I didn't work hard at school. I was running restaurants by the time I was like 19 and doing really well. And then I got to the early 20s and fell out of love with it and fell into sales. I had a very rough start of it. I really sucked, like really
yeah,
sucked. And I think that was a combination of perspective, knowledge, my ideas, and what I thought I should do or have to do. And I also think a lot about daily training. And then there's a long gap in there of great sales, had some really good jobs, worked in different industries, B2B, B2C, door knocking, phone, face to face, the whole nine yards. Then I had my own businesses. And then I had a real demise. Got addicted to drugs, addicted to booze. And I think the problem in the modern world is we can actually function quite well for a long period of time on those things.
sure.
And then suddenly it trailed off. Um,
You think your
and it
work
sounds like,
kind of, affected like the drink and the drugs,
yeah,
those
over
the
time. Yeah.
stresses
I mean, I
under?
had a wine bar and I had a business and everything was great. But over, you just become less effective. And so I ended up, the business went under, lost the bar, and had to start from scratch. And it sounds like a cheesy line, but so the only thing I was left that I was any good at was sales.
Yeah,
It was so hardwired. And then someone said to me, "Are you still any good at training people?" And I said, "I think so." So then I started training people. And then I realized that I really love doing the training side. Like,
yeah,
my big thing with the Brett's this: if me and you were out at sea treading water, I know I would stay more positive, driven, and focused to make sure you were all right than I would if I was on my own. And it's a really weird thing to find. And then for doing something like training and coaching, when you've got that element of commitment to people, it really comes through. So then I now work in 8 countries, got a top 10 podcast, got an interactive online
listen to the
academy,
podcast, by the way. The podcast is great.
some great people, really been fortunate with them. And then I work with companies from the solopreneur, standalone business owner, high ticket coach, consultant, expert, through to companies with sales teams to change up the way they do things, remove the baggage, implement better processes, skills, and frameworks, and the skills for them to thrive within that business. Um, and I genuinely love it. I said to someone the other day, if my lottery numbers come into today and I win 50 million, I'd still be doing coaching calls next week. And people call
Sure.
me on it. That's BS. I'm like, I would. Like, I could work
Yeah.
25% of the time that I do now. I could put more people on the academy than do one on one. But I genuinely enjoy seeing the transformation that happens with businesses, which is fantastic.
Is the academy like an online like videos and sort of coaching that way,
Yes,
or is it?
it's an interactive platform. So you have an app on your phone and you have a desktop version. And so it's designed for salespeople more than solopreneurs. And the reason being is inside of the hub that we have, a business can have their own hub. And then you could see what your team have passed, failed, logged on, what they've been studying, what courses they've been watching, the average video time that they're watching, whatever it might be. And so it keeps people really engaged. But all the trainings have been recorded in the last couple of years. So everything's really the modern version of selling rather than a lot of the dusty videos that you see that are just cobbled together for people. And it means that people can sit at a desk and watch a video, but we have clients now and they'll, before they go into a face-to-face meeting, watch a few videos. Before they do this, they'll
Yeah.
watch a few videos. And it really becomes an integral part of a lot of people's businesses because we practice what we train and we execute on what we do. And in the same way, if you look at people like professional basketball players, they spend a good amount of their time practicing. Sales, you can't do that. Sales, you're practicing a lot of the time on your clients, on your prospects, and they're practicing 5% of the time. And if we could increase that, the results just go through the roof.
And with regards to sales, so your marketing's really good. I see a lot of the stuff you put out and things like that. How together should those things be for you? Is that something that you go into business, say the problem is sales or it's marketing, or you have good people, bad marketing?
Between the two. Sorry, the guy's screaming outside of my office. There we go. It's a combination of the two. I thought break it for 35 seconds and get rid of the noise. I'm not a marketing expert. No. I have tried a lot of different things to find what would work for me. And I have people message me all the time, oh, if you now do this and you now do that, we can rocket your growth and this will change. I'm like, yes, technically, that makes sense. If we do a crisper video, a more polished version, better lighting. I have all this lighting stuff behind me here. I don't use them.
Yeah.
When I used to have ring light, I've got another ring light there. When I used to have a ring light and that light and this and really nice subtitles and here and there and da-da-da-da-da, we'd get all right views. We'd get a couple of thousand. As soon as it started being more of a fly-on-the-wall documentary, a bit of a rougher angle, not as focused, it just seemed to catch. And I think because we post a lot of sales calls, live calls, objection handling, coaching, and this is what a lot of people don't realize in my marketing isn't always designed to grab attention. We use our marketing as social proof so you know what to expect when you work with me. I'll have a sales call. I had one earlier today. I had a call with a guy, and he's like, the problem we've got is we don't know what it will be like to work with you. Oh, and I can make that easier. I'll send you a link now. And so I sent him a link. He went, TikTok? I went, yeah, just press it. I went, so you can see that. And he went, oh, it's got 1 million views. I went, yeah, scroll down. That's a live sales call. That's a coaching call. That one to the right, that's objection handling. This is this. He can see I post sometimes between 1 and 4 times a day. So you think in a month, there's probably 50 videos. So you can see what I've done in the last month and then go, So imagine if you go through my TikTok in the last 4 months and go, okay, in the last 4 months, you could see what in 12 weeks you would have achieved with me. What I've done, where I've changed, how we've transformed, what we've been talking about. And then you can go, if he was in our business and did that, this is what we'd get. So yes, it's for marketing, but it's actually a sales tool. Because I also say to people, I'm not for everyone. Go and watch my videos on TikTok and say, what would my team feel like if that guy was talking to them? How would we feel with our values? What would happen with our standards? Because we're not cheap, right?
No.
So if you're going to bring me in,
you want to think about the brakes. Would you buy cheap brakes for your car? Objection handling sort of thing. I saw that video the other day.
I sell a lot through analogies, and I don't think hammering people into a sale is the most thought through process. It's an out of date way, and you can get great deals from it. But I also think you repel a lot of people from it. It's like being a comedian. You could say really full on jokes in someone's face, and it could get some jokes, but you could also piss a lot of people off. And so we talk a lot with analogies because the easiest way to compare something that people don't know or have a different perspective about it is to compare an unknown to a known. So if I can talk about the standard of quality of something that someone can understand, like the brakes on a car or whatever that might be, or playing the guitar or going on holiday, and that's another one we talk about. So there's different ways you can work with us. There's a first class, there's economy, and then there's a slow boat that you could get on. They're all going to get to your destination, They're going to cost more. One might be faster. One might be more enjoyable. And it just depends on where you are in your life. Do you want the slow boat to China? You want to get an economy flight? Or you see the value in paying for first class?
Yeah.
And we're more the premium economy. There's people out there that will do great stuff that will charge 5 times more. And there's people who will do it for 90% less. And it's where people want to be. And that perspective then stays in someone's mind. We're pre-framing the way we want people to think about us. And I think it's such an important part is if I walk out of the room and I've left something with you, I want it to stay in your mind. And an analogy is more likely to stay in their mind than a cryptic technical explanation that they didn't really care about anyway.
Sure. And with regards to sort of most businesses that you go into, is there a common theme? And not to give away too much of your trade secrets or
No, I'm fine. I'm happy to talk.
Yeah. So is there like common things that you're like, right, do you know what, of the 20,000 businesses that I might have helped or whatever the figure is there like 5 key points or, like you almost know what you're walking into sort of thing? Or
so when we have a discovery call with a company, it goes into a fork of a road and that goes into fork. So initially it's okay. Is this a coach, consultant, expert that wants to get away from doing the selling and build a team and build a business? That's one area.
Yeah.
The other side is a company that's already got a sales team. They probably have an office, a phone system, a CRM that's in there. And what we're looking to do, and I say this to everyone, my first job is to get your sales up to more than you paid us. Because if I can do that, then you're happy, right? Then we'll look at a stage 1 and stage 2 overview. Think of it like your car, another analogy. The car that you drive to go to Sainsbury's to do your shopping, most businesses, that's a business. What they're trying to do is turn that car into a track car to improve performance. So there's a couple of things you could do. We could take the car apart to work on the best brakes ever, put it back together, put it out there, great brakes work. What I would rather do is go, okay, what can we do fast to get the lap time up, improve this, improve that. And once we've got that up, then we can work out a bigger plan for long-term growth, long-term performance. So we'll come in and go, okay, what are they saying here and what are they saying there? What can we adapt there? How many leads have they got? How many people have been pitched that haven't brought? Why would that have happened? Where's the block? What's the mindset shift we can change here? What can we do for that initial pitch? So then we aim to build that. And what we'll do is we tailor that for every company. And that's why it costs more money. Because if you sit with me and we go, okay, we'll do a 90-minute deep dive. We'll look at the business. We go, okay, so this is what you do. This is how it works. Maybe we change that. We then create a 12-week training plan. And that might be 3 weeks of strategy development where we meet each week to build a better plan. Then we'll meet with the team for 9 weeks and we record it, transcribe it to implement the training. And then we leave them with the academy after. So that then we're getting all areas of the business covered. So this is why I say it to people. It's not a trade secret. It's the seasoning that goes into the recipe that really makes a big difference.
Sure.
The recipes are very similar. There's slight changes in what's done is what really makes a big difference to a dish.
And do you find you have to go back like what's it, Gordon Ramsay when he revisits restaurants and it's all fallen back in and people are doing what they were doing before, even though you fixed it, like that kind of, do you have to go back a lot?
It takes implementation. And so there's sometimes we've worked with companies and they don't put the effort in, they don't put the implementation, and that happens. I've got other companies that will work. I've had a company recently in the States, just outside of New York. They worked with me for a year. We added around 1.8 million. We only had 2 salespeople. We added 1.8 million in extra revenue. Great. They had 6 months, 8 months away, carrying on. Changes in their industry meant they didn't do as well. Then they've come back and said, we need you to come back. We want to work together again. So can we just work together for another 6 months? Yes.
No better testimonial than that, really, is there?
Well, yeah. And then we've got another client, Laurie, who's an amazing speaker coach. And she was incredible. She's working now with Dean Graziosi and other great people that are out there. And we worked on loads of little parts of her business. She worked with me for about 5 months. And then she said, I want to work with you for another year. Let's just do it. I want to meet with you. I want to strategize every week. I want to have you on voice notes every day.
Do you think it's like accountability, a lot of it? One of my friends has got an accountability coach. I didn't even know they
Yeah.
existed, and all that person is there to do is not judge him. He knows the answers. It's get him on a
So,
call. What have you
we'll
done
think
this
of it like
week?
this. Let's imagine it like health. Let's imagine there's two versions of me now, both join the gym. One's going to have a trainer, one's not. If we track that same person's life, we would automatically expect, if you found the right trainer, that this one will have a massively increased. Now imagine there was a third one, and that third one's also going to do your meal prep, that's going to talk to you every day. So then you've got a guy on his own, me. You've got a guy who's going to meet you once a week at the gym and tell you what to do. Then you've got someone who's in your life every day. Don't forget you said this, and remember to do that, and don't eat that bloody chocolate bar. Did you do your walk this morning? Message me once you've been to the gym.
Yeah.
Right? That intensity, and
Exponential.
that's why with what we do, we will often see results in 3-4 months. It might take them a year. And I say to people all the time, you will likely be able to do this without me. It might just take you 3 years. It might cost you another 30 grand because you're going to waste money, or you might hire the wrong staff, or this might happen because you're going to have to go through the experimenting stage. You've got to try it, test it, give it time. Didn't work. Okay, next. No. Where we come in and go, okay, here's the recipe book. Here's the processes. Here's what we've done in other industries. This is why this worked. This is why it didn't. And then they'll say, what about this? Okay, well, we tried this here. This is what worked. What can we do? And then we tailor it, and then we help implement it. Then you put the accountability on the top as like the cherry on the cake.
And with regards to, I found you via TikTok. Do you think enough businesses are sort of taking that platform because it's got a bit of stigma? It's almost like a childish platform, people say, and
it's got a stigma by people that don't use it consistently. We get businesses off it every month. Every month we get business. And do you know the amount, like you said to me, you found me on TikTok. Do you know the amount of people I get messaging me on LinkedIn, say, hey, I found you on TikTok. I'm like, why didn't you just DM me there? Well, I like LinkedIn more. No.
Yeah.
In the same way that you buy a
did that.
Mercedes. Yeah, 100%, right? In the same way people drive a Mercedes, if you took a Kia and no one, say a new Kia came out and they swapped the badges and they put it on a Mercedes badge all over it, a lot of people would think the same. In the same way, I was watching something of a Lamborghini the other day, and they'd done a tracker. They're tracking all the spare parts. Some guy takes the scrap ones, and it was like a Ford indicator. And there was this part here, this part for the aircon was from a Hyundai. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I think I saw the same video.
So many people out there, they have a stigma, but they have a stigma based on echoes from what other people have said, not based on their experience. I look at the way, when you look at things like TikTok's really interesting because the algorithm is always changing. And I'm sure it checks your retina scan. I genuinely believe it does your retina scan.
Do you believe that?
100%. And here's why. A video will come up that I'll see for 2 seconds. I won't go back to it, haven't liked it, but it really got my attention. So I imagine my pupils dilated, my eyes changed, suddenly it starts showing me it. I watched it for 2 seconds. So if I only watched it for 2 seconds, I didn't go, wow, this is great. I didn't laugh. It caught my attention and my pupils must have dilated or something, or it grabbed my attention, or I looked in more. Something happened in that 2 seconds. Suddenly starts showing me more of those videos. And I don't know, as a dumb guy, what else that can be. Because it wasn't video time watched. It wasn't liked. It wasn't commented. It wasn't shared. But it knew it grabbed my attention.
Bit like, especially in the industry I'm in, they say it's impossible for phones to listen to you and things like that. I disbelieve that proportionally. I think they absolutely do listen to us.
Can't listen. 100% they can. The reason I know that they can, so we use a software called Otter AI. Have you heard of it?
No.
So it's a transcription service, and so it goes automatically on my video calls. You can have an app on your phone, and it will listen in on the calls. Now I've authorized that, and it listens to everything. And it summarizes it and it gives recommendations. So imagine if I'm doing a Zoom call now with a client and we're using Otter AI and someone comes in 10 minutes later, the AI bot will come up and say, hey, Julie, welcome to the meeting. And you can say, what have I missed? And I'll go, here's the summary.
Now, it's clever.
Now, bear in mind, that costs $20 a month. Now imagine what's out there that we don't have privy to. If they're
Yeah,
letting
yeah,
a sales coach for 20 quid a month have that, what do the £1 billion governments have? And it's not a conspiracy thing. It's just I think ignorant to think that we've got access, same as ChatGPT and everything else. It's ignorant to think that we're getting given we're getting given the scraps.
sure. Yeah,
Let them
exactly.
play.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? It's like they're giving you their old toys.
yeah,
Oh yeah, you can have my PlayStation 1.
yeah.
That's what they're giving us.
We're not using it anymore. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But imagine you've never had a computer before, and so say you go to some country where in banana land, and they've never had a computer before, and you gave them a PS1 and a TV, and you had their mind would be blown.
mind blowing. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Speaking of
That
AI, what do you think of AI for business? Do you think it's a good or a bad thing?
great. It's great if you adapt. Most people don't want to adapt.
Sure.
Most people don't want to adapt. Most people, they've had to work really hard to get to the level of success they're at now, and they thought that level of effort was going to be it. It is always going to change. Is there
Sure.
downsides to it? Yeah, of course there is. But there's downsides to every single thing. If we compare our lives, and people are like, oh, it's really dangerous. I'm like, it's definitely not as dangerous as living in medieval times when there was no law and order. The king could execute you at the drop of a hat. Everyone would fight with swords, and the average life expectancy was 42. Like, when people say about it's dangerous, compared to what? Compared to when you're a kid, maybe, compared to the 80s. But we're living at one of the best times in the world out there. There are problems, there are pain points. But I also think it's really important to, instead of fearing something, learn how to use it. Well, we do so many things with tools now where even silly things, I write notes all the time on calls. I take a photo of my notes and I upload them to our CRM because I know at some point there'll be an AI tool that will read my photos and just automatically transcribe it to notes.
You can do that on iPhones now, can't you?
Yeah, you can do it and you transcribe it, but I take
Cheers,
photos,
sorry. Sorry.
I just upload it to our CRM, and eventually there'll be a bolt on and it'll say, "Would you like me to transcribe?" Yes, just do it. Great,
Yeah.
I just open ready. I
Do
think there's
you
a
do you
problem.
use it in your business, AI? Like, do you develop sort of scripts off it or anything? Is it probably not good
Trainings
for?
are really helpful for a framework. So if I've got now, think about if I went to Google Docs now, I'd have thousands of Google Docs of ideas. And I can now paste, here's an idea I've got, and say there's 55 trainings. And I can say, oh, okay, well, out of these 55 trainings, create me 4 1 hour sessions based around outbound salespeople, but on a B2B sales base of recruitment. And it will then, in 30 seconds, even just organizing. Imagine if you had to copy and paste and move stuff on a doc, it would take you 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It could just do that. And it might have good ideas. And it'll highlight and it'll put it in bullet point form. And then you read it through and you go, don't like that, don't like that, love that, don't like that, don't like, love that. And then you go, okay, can you change this? Or can you make this into a graph? And can you change this graph and put it into bullet point form? Can you write this in blah, blah, blah? Can you give me 5 examples of this? And can you try this on that? And blah. Ask it like it's an assistant sat next to you. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean you get the assistant to do all your work. But I look at it. I use like Siri and other stuff like that all the time for
Yeah.
everything. And why wouldn't we? It's a tool that's there to be used. Is there a chance that computers are going to take over the world and kill us all? Yeah, there is a chance of that. But that's outside of the people that release that type of crap are nothing to do with me, and I'm not going to be able to stop them anyway. There are likely bots that can take over the world as we speak. For what
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
in scraps, go back to the PS1. If you have a PS1 in front of you and you've never had a computer, use the PS1 because it's there anyway. And the big dangerous stuff is likely going to happen whether we protest over it or not. So we might as well
Sure.
embrace it and get a better use out of it.
Good man. Well, just a final couple of questions. I don't want to sort of take up too much of your time, and I
I'm
really
all
do
right. I'm
appreciate
good
you
for the
coming
12
on.
anyway. It's fine.
Um, So I kind of want to get back into the sales mindset. You know, have you what's worked on you? Has there been times that people have cold called you? Is it emails? Is it direct messages? Is there stuff that works when you sort of take and you're like, oh, I love that. I'm going to use that in my training sort of thing?
There's some great people that are out there. Cold calling wise, there's a guy called Benjamin on LinkedIn. Amazing. He is ruthless. He's got a great brand and he leans into it. Jeremy Miner, that was on the podcast, he's got seventh level. He does some really great stuff where, again, moving away from sounding like a salesperson, leaning into that and the psychology behind it. There's some great people that are out there. I'm a big believer that sales, same as going to the gym, is an eroding skill, right? We don't go to the gym, bench it out, walk out and go, these muscles are going to be with me for the next 20 years. They're going to erode over time. And so with sales, being a student of the game, being a student of learning is important. And it's a bit like playing golf. Your driving could be great one day and your putting might suck. When your putting is going to go great and then your pitching is not going to be good. And there's going to be new clubs that are going to come out and this is going to happen. And it's about being in the journey. I'm a big believer of falling in love with the processes rather than necessarily the end results. Because I think if you play the game the best you can and you study the rules and you study the other players, you'll pick up the tips, tricks and hacks that cut down the learning time. And there's so many cheat codes that are out there. I go to events. I'm doing one on Monday. I'm going to that event and I'll say to people, right, I picked this up from Alex Hormozy and I picked this up from Jeremy Mona. I picked this up from this guy and this guy told me this
Sure.
and this client taught me that. Now, I'm not going in to say I created these. They're still getting the cheat code. They're getting the 5 years worth of study, the failures, the mistakes, the errors, all removed out, and you're getting the final bit. You're getting the decent recipe at the end of it. And that's what you should do. And I think with sales, most people out there, they're just repeating the same crap every day. Be like being a carpenter, and all you've done for 5 years is hit a nail on a hammer on a nail. You can call yourself a carpenter. That's cool. But actually, are you an effective carpenter? No. Have you done any modern skills? No. And it's a very different thing. And I think that's the problem. So for me, I'm always working on my craft. I'll listen to podcasts every week. There's normally a book on the go. There's a program I'll be doing. There'll be a coach I have because it's so important to keep moving forward because we don't know what we don't know.
And sales tends to get a bit of a dirty vibe towards it. People will say, like, oh, sales, I don't want to be sold to, things like that. Is there things that you sort of learned along the way that really go against that grain? Have you kind of,
saying sales is like saying sports. I really think it is. So think of it like this. You've got B2B, B2C, you've got face-to-face, phone sales, inbound, outbound, telephone, Zoom, social media, attractive, whatever it is, all that stuff. But as I was saying, baseball, football, blah, blah. And then inside each sport, you've then got leagues. If you go to the crappiest league of football in Derby, right? That could be terrible. And if you played in that game every day, you'd hate football too. Nothing against Derby. Lovely place.
Really?
On the flip side, we can't go and compare the worst league in a sport to the top league in the sport. You can't compare Messi to the 65-year-old boozer that's playing Sunday League who's got a terrible temper and punches everyone he speaks to.
Sure.
And in the same way with sales. But sales, the reason why it's so good now is think of it if you were a car salesman in the 80s and you lived in Weymouth. You had that area and the only audience were people in that area and you had 8 cars on the lot and you couldn't buy another car till you sold that car. You had to feed your family from that car. That was it. So if they brought a stinker of a car, what were they going to do? Burn it? Sell it? Yeah, they should fix it. And yeah, they should do this. And yeah, but actually, and this isn't excusing the way it worked, but that was it. So then they were desperate for the business. Their family did need to survive on it. There's no excuse for that crap anymore. You can sell to anyone in the world. We've got clients in 9 countries. It's about now finding your niche, finding your pain points, finding the right people, finding the people. I say to people all the time, our job is to go, where are you now? Where are you trying to get to? And are we the best fit to cut that time scale down in the shortest possible time? You're paying us to do that. And if you think it's someone else to do that, great. There's an abundance that's out there, and it's about understanding the process and the skills to get us to that stage.
Is there any red flags that you see from clients? Like, do you ever not take people on and think, do you know what, I can't, if the product's terrible, think,
Yeah,
are there certain things?
there's certain industries I don't work with, and also it depends on the structure, the way the business is set up. If you've got people that, when we're going through how people have structured their day, if they've just been left to guess through it, that's okay. But actually, if it's a case of, well, we don't want to put targets in place, and it's not that you need targets, but there's got to be a goal or an idea or a KPI. If it's more of a fact of, well, we don't really want to get people to change. It's amazing how many people say that. I don't really work with e-com businesses, not because they're bad, because actually I love the phone.
Sure.
I love getting on Zoom.
Sorry,
And
2 seconds. I'm really sorry. It's a parcel. 2 seconds. Sorry, mate.
That's right.
Just kept ringing the doorbell.
It's fine. It's absolutely fine. These things happen. It's all good.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think with a lot of the stuff that's going on at the moment, it swings around with everything that goes on. And the majority of the time out there, people have the wrong perspective of what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And people mess up with that. And I think it's so important for us just to take a bit more of an idea. Do businesses want to change? Do they actually want help? Are they bored of the problem, but they don't want to change? I've had companies who say, well, if we changed this, how would you feel? And if we were going to do this here, how would you feel? And what would you want to do here? And if we recommended doing this, would you be open to it? And if they're like, oh, well, we don't want to change the way we pitch. We don't want to make people talk in a different way. Or like we talk a lot about tonality, or we might implement different parts of the client journey. Oh, no, well, we don't want to change that. And say, well, we're probably not the fit. It's like asking someone, it's asking a personal trainer to help you get in shape and going, but I don't want to change what I eat, and I don't want to change my habits. Like, well, it's just pointless. But apart from that, we can pretty much flexible with people. We don't work with the e-coms and most side, but again, that's more, not because of the industry, just because of the fact they're trying to drive traffic. I think it's more marketing that generates their sales rather than actual hand-to-hand combat, face-to-face conversations, which is actually what I think is the best way. And that's why we lean to more high-ticket stuff.
With cold calling, obviously, I'm guessing that's something that's huge in your eyes. I don't think any businesses really focus on it at all anymore. It's all inbound leads and things like that. Do you think that's if someone could change their business overnight, it would be reintroducing cold calling, even if they're the business owner?
Depends on the business. I think it's got scope for it. And the reason being, if you go back, say, 6 years ago, ad costs were really low. So it was actually really easy to abundantly generate a lot more leads through paid advertising. We have it set up now where you can employ an expensive team. You could have an inexpensive outbound team. You could have someone doing outbound calls for you for 2 hours. But it depends on what you're trying to do. It really depends what you're trying to do. And I think it depends on the people and it depends on the training. But I think it's far more accessible for a business. And I think it's very good for planting seeds. Because even if you've got someone who has 50 conversations, maybe say that only turns into 2 clients. But actually the other 35 people that you spoke to, you've built more of a relationship. Now you're engaging and now you're nurturing those people over the space of the coming months. It generates more, rather than a lot of the time we're clicking on ads, doing marketing. It goes to our inbox and we eventually just put it to spam because we don't really have an attachment to it. Where the cold calling really gets you to sell the personality of the people and the actual business itself and make a real impact.
And it's hard to, on social media, obviously run paid ads for a living, one of the things I do in the ads is to go completely against the brand colors because I want someone to stop scrolling. Whereas, I feel like with cold calling, they're listening to you. So half the battle's there that they're actually listening to you.
It also depends what you're doing. For a lot of businesses, when I talk to them, especially, A lot of the businesses that we'll work with aren't actively going off and looking for a change in sales. So actually, even if they see my ads, are they necessarily going to be clicking on that ad? No. But by us going in and doing a great cold call, and then they go, oh my God, I like that. I like the way you did that. That was really good. Well, we like where you did this, and you texted us with that. That was interesting. And then you can start going, well, imagine for the moment that everyone in your team worked like me or worked like us. What do you think would change in the business? Well, we'd probably get more sales. Okay, well, what's your average sale? And how many more sales? Okay, cool. So that's only 250K. Okay, is it worth us exploring it? So then we've used our very thing out there, right? So then it's about utilizing the right methods based around the desired outcome and the pain points. And a lot of the time, if you can stop the people in their tracks and they go, that was good. Oh, and now their brain's thinking, and that's what we're trying to lean into more than anything else.
Good stuff. I love it. Well, I just want to talk about your business and what you can help people with. I was going to put this out on LinkedIn and all of our socials. Have you got some kind of like offers or anything people can sign up to?
Any of my socials, we've got a Shorby link, which is a bit like Linktree, just better looking. And we've got different trainings on there, but you can go to thesalesangel.com or you can go to Tusta, tusta.co.uk. It's for the Ultimate Sales Training Academy. And just get in touch and have a conversation. Most of the time out there, it's conversations with us before anything else, because I don't think most people buy programs to the standard that we're trying to deliver because they need to have a conversation because they need it more tailored. And it's about having those conversations. We want to have conversations with the right businesses. So slide to the DMs, have a chat, and go from there.
I love it. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
We're recording now. No worries, top man.